like to talk about how to use game mode process and how to control multiple avatars. So you can use process to switch between multiple avatars. Before I do that, just as usual, I want to pull the change from the GitHub. It has been for a while, so I see 130 changes. When I pull, there is a warning for conflict. As I mentioned before, you can just simply choose stash because this is the file not really belongs to you. And then it's going to pull these 130 changes, and then I can view the stash. I can easily just discard the local version. So the online version gonna override my local version. So this has been done multiple times. Okay, so once the synchronize is complete, then I'm going to just run the Unreal from my GitHub. So this should embed these 130 changes over the past week. So it should be out here. Yeah, that's really a lot of changes. All right, so when the Unreal is opening, I just want to highlight a few things I like to cover in this demo. So first is in Unreal, the avatar, always called a pawn, is a term you can have a player to control. The player can use keyboard, mouse, we call the input system, to control the avatar to jump, fly, run. You can also use the same concept to control, for example, a vehicle. You can drive the vehicle or drone or dragon, right? So there's many ways you can think about the avatar is not necessarily be a humanoid, it could be anything. So here I will just show you a little bit what I mean about this multiple avatar process. So the first thing I like to just quickly show you the current version. We have several dragons, right? We also have this billboard system. In this system, I actually will go to a level. This level is called 18 Tom. I use this level for demo of multiple palm process. So if I go here, I'm able to load that additional levels. So see the level will populate. And I see a vehicle right here. I believe is using the V key. I'm able to process the vehicle, and I'm able to drive the vehicle. I'm using the tab to switch the wheels. So this is one way you can switch the palm from one to another. So let me really quick check the 18 Tom, right? So this is the file. And I think this is 18 Tom level. I will click to open. Actually, I think this is the wrong one. Sorry, I should open the 18 Tom level backup. I will actually save over the old file, so you don't have to worry. So I will do save current level as. I will save over 18 Tom level. Okay, so this will be identical for these two files. All right, so let's open 18 Tom. I will show you how exactly the process works. So once I open it, first in the word settings, you do see this one still using the BP third person game mode. And this one has a pawn class pointed to superhero girl, right? So if I go ahead, search, you can see here is that pawn, or we call it avatar or character, either way you want to call it. You can see this tiny icon with this kind of human head here. So that is a character, actually. The characters has a skeletal system, has a physics, has bone system associated with it. So if I open this BP character, you can basically see all the components within this character. The character is actually a very complicated concept in Unreal. Usually the characters include skeletal mesh. In this case, it is superhero girl. it always has an animation class associated with it. So this animation will dictate all the movement of the bones, depends on the input, jump, run, or fly. So this is the skeletal mesh. And also you have a bunch of other components like cameras. In this case, there are two cameras, first-person camera and chasing camera. And more important is in the event graph, you can see actually this is the logic control this superhero girl. And this BP code has always a way to link the input system. In this case, this input system is coming from, so here if I just zoom in, sorry, it's right here, add input system. So it's basically using the player controller, right, as a target. Then it will map the input player subsystem. So in this case, it's a context mapping. So this is the file. If I go to search, I can see this is the input. The name is IMC default input mapping. So if I double click, you can basically see all the input right here to control jump, fly, dodge. Right. So this is actually a much better system in Unreal Engine 4, plus Engine 5. Using this context mapping, you can easily update. If you use, let's see, motion controllers from different VR headset, you can definitely add this easily here. So it's really, really well structured. It's called IMC, right? Context mapping. So just keep in mind, this is important in order to have the mapping system, input mapping system to control the movement of this avatar, right? All right, so this is the superhero goal. If I search, I can actually see another character I put here called Leo. I didn't really use it much, but here I can show you Leo and the girl actually share exactly the same input system. So here in the input is actually pointed to the same mapping context. So keep in mind, they all come from the same set of mapping. All right. And also besides this, I can show you there's a bunch of other characters in Unreal. So in this case, if I search, browse this robot, this is a default from third-person robot. It's under third-person BP. This is the test. So if I open it, you can see this is the robot. I'm actually using the robot as a starting point, created this superhero girl, but I, modified the coding here. So the coding actually, the robot is using a different input system. And here, see the mapping context. If I search, this IMC mapping is in the content third-person input. Right, so it's a different input file. If I open it, it has pretty much everything, but do not have a fly or dodge control. So keep in mind, although the name looks like the same, they are different. So this is under third-person input C. But for the superhero, superhero Leo or superhero girl, if you check there, input mapping is linked to content, dynamic flight input, stock inputs. Right. So there are two separate files. The same idea, like in the future, if you bring, let's say, a vehicle into Unreal. Here, yes. So by the way, this vehicle is coming from add. Then you go to add feature, content tag, and then this is the place you can see the vehicle. So you can add vehicles as another pawn into the current projects. In the future, you can also add a VR pawn. This one has, the hands, the virtual hands. So yeah, we'll do that maybe in the future. But now, if you add a vehicle, this is a place you can find it. So you see the vehicle is already there. I browse to asset, is right here. It's under content, vehicle template, blueprint, sports car. If I double click, I can see this is the vehicle, has two cameras. Event graph, it has its own mapping system. Let me see, where is the input mapping? gameplay, it should be here. Strange. Oh, I see what happened. Because this vehicle is actually children of a parent vehicle. See, if you here see the parent class is a wheeled vehicle pawn. So here, if I search, oh, sorry, this is actually open the Visual Studio. I don't have to do this. Close. Yeah, that's strange. I saw this is linked to another pawn. Let me check really quick. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, there's all offload car. Is this the one? Yeah, this is a different vehicle. There are two vehicles in this package if you download. Yeah, I forgot where it actually defined the search. I find it is actually tricky. You know, in the vehicle template under the blueprint, you do have this vehicle player controller, and also you have this input. Right, this input is actually content vehicle template input, which control all the vehicle acceleration, brake, right? So the reason I didn't really see this in the first place is because this one is not directly linked to the pawn. If I right click, show you the reference viewer, you see this guy is actually connected to vehicle player controller, and then this is linked to the game mode, then the game mode attached to the level. So yeah, so I just search the blueprint and find this vehicle controller, and double click, and here we go. You see that kind of familiar add mapping context, right? So this one is, if you roll over, you can see the path is pointing to vehicle template input. Anyway, so just to let you know, in the different pawn or different character, depends on which one you bring in, they have a different input system. Okay. So for me, I like to just show you quickly, if you have this multiple pawns in the same level, I can write some script in the level blueprint, and then I can let the player to process to swap between multiple pawns. Right. So as just a quick reminder, by default we have the superhero girl as my current default pawn class, and also I have this beginning location for the character, right, which is right here, player start. Okay. So if I just simply play, just make the player starting point a little bit further away. If I play, by default, I have this, third person view of the superhero girl. You can fly up, you can do, shift. So this is all the default stuff, right? We have also the C means you can press to switch the first person to third person. So that is the default pawn. And also here I have a bunch of other pawns, like another superhero girl, a robot, and a Leo, which is this character I brought in, and also the vehicle. Okay. So the way to make this work is I can press M, which is a key I programmed. Then I'm able to control the robot. In this case, the input is different because if I press F, nothing happens. The robot is not able to fly, but spacebar can jump. Right. So this is a little bit different from the superhero go. So this is M. If I press M again, I switch back to this superhero go. Okay. So this is the M key. Another key I think is the P. So if I press P, I can process the robot one more time, right? And then if I press P, and this time I'm kind of process the Leo. So each time you press a button, you always process the robots. So the Leo is able to actually fly because he is sharing exactly the same input system as a superhero god. So he is able to, do all the things, dodge. Yeah, so that's basically Leo. And if I press P again, Leo can switch back to the robot. So just keep in mind, I program the default is anytime you press twice, you're going back to the robot. And the third one is a vehicle. So if I press a V, actually twice, because first time is just a robot, second time is a vehicle, right? So you can see the control is totally different. Now if I use spacebar, it's basically the brake. I can see the light. W is accelerate, S means back, D means left, A means right. Right. So if you do W A, you can forward at the same time turn. So that's how the vehicle works. Right. And also you can use the tab key to switch the view. So if you switch to this camera view, you can sort of see things from the windshield. Right. So here I can accelerate. That's a collision. Yeah, you cannot really run over people. Tab key again, you can go back, and the V go back, you can see the robot control. Okay. Yeah, so that's multiple puns you can play with, right? So I will explain a little bit how I made this coding. In the future, you can definitely feel free to do this with your own version. This one is not means to be the only way. So here, open my blueprint class. Actually, open level blueprint. Sorry, here, open level blueprint. You can see a bunch of code here. So I'll explain them one by one. First is the keyboard. If I press M, which is the trigger event, right? We cover this. Trigger event will actually be the starting point of an action. So when I press M, this function is called flip-flop. So if you press M twice, this will go to B. Press M once, this goes to A. So it's kind of alternate. So when you press M, the first thing I want to do is I want to load this third-person character. This one is actually the robot. The way you want to load the robot is first, right? You select any actors on the level, in the level. So this guy, if I select, this is third-person character, right? Which if you browse, you can see is this guy. I can drag it in, right? So we can create this instance, right? And then in the future, if I want to reference this guy, I can just simply go to my level blueprint, and then I can right-click, choose create a reference. So this is how you kind of load actor from the level into EP. I'm not doing this again because I already have this robot. So this robot is loaded as a reference into this level. So I did the same thing for the vehicle, same thing for the Leo. So they are just loaded in as a reference. So first thing is I want to possess the robots. Okay. So the target of your possess should be player controller. So by default, index 0. So that means the first player log into this this level is gonna take over the player index 0. In fact, if you check the player start, right, this guy, you can see the details. This one will automatically process. So that should be the way it take over the player 0. If you do not want this one take over the player 0, you can also dictate. For example, if you click Leo, here if you type Pong, you can see that default the auto process is disabled, but you could make it enabled and automatically process player 0, 1, 2, 3. So this could be handy in some case. Whenever people log into your level, you want them automatically process one of the characters. You can dictate this from disable to a player 0. But anyway, that's not the way we are working. Here, so I process the robot, and also I want to actually give a mapping system, right? Because if you recall, the robot using a different mapping system from the superhero girl. So first I do is I will remove whatever the current mapping is. So if I roll over here, the mapping context currently is pointing to the dynamic flight, the superhero input. So I will get rid of it. Then I will add my own mapping context. If I roll over here, this is pointing to the third person input. So this is run controller robots. If you don't do it, you will see the robot is not able to move. Okay. So similar thing I did the reverse way. So if you press M again, right? So it will now process the superhero girl. So it's gonna come going back. Then it's remove the robot's input. Then it's add the superhero girl input. Right. So this is how this M key is gonna trigger this process flip flop. A similar idea I using the P key, which is on the keyboard, flip flop again. So this time I want to process between the robot and the Leo. This is a superhero Leo, which I select, then I load it into the level. So exactly the same logic. Remove the mapping, adding the mapping, remove the mapping, adding the mapping. So you can swap between these two mapping systems. Exactly the same idea for the vehicle using the keyboard V, right? So the robot is this, and here's a car. By the way, you don't have to use the robot. Here you can definitely using the girl, right? The superhero girl or Leo as the alternate from the vehicle, but it's really up to you. And just make sure whatever captures you added after process, you have to add the correct mapping to it, right? So in the case of vehicle, if I roll over, you see this is pointed to the correct input mapping system. Because they share the same name, so you will see three files here. It could be confusing, but if you roll over your cursor, you can sort of see the folder paths. Right? So just make sure for the vehicle, I want to add this to the vehicle input. So that is the third one, vehicle template input. Right? You see that in the pop-up. So that's how the process works across the three different characters. I know this could be a little bit confusing, so let me just quickly add a billboard. So in the future, you're not get confused. So in the manual system, I have the billboard 3D. I will drag it here. Yeah, I will just make a billboard here. So it's gonna explain a little bit the logic here. So I think try M key, P key, and V key to swap. Okay, so this is basically the kind of clue you can have. So now if I play just one more time, let me do this as a full screen. So let's do new window and so do full screen. So here you can see I'm swapping the first from superhero girl to robot using the M key. Right. So here's a robot. This robot is able to jump. Really cool. And then use the P. I can switch to a robot which controls Leo. So P twice. You can see that. Like F means you can fly. Shift. So you have all of this there. Then using the V, like twice, and control the vehicle. Tab key, switch the view. Really cool. For the vehicle. And then using the V again, I can go back to the robot. Yeah. Yeah, the robot is not able to move. The reason is we didn't unload the Leo. So that's a little bit tricky. So here you have to press P. Right. So this is a Leo. Is this right? Oh, maybe it's the M. We didn't release the superhero go. Let me see which one is control. So it's kind of loaded in the vehicle. Yeah, let me check. I probably accidentally changed the code. So in the vehicle, right, when you press the robot, oh yeah, this is wrong. So in the robot control, I removed the vehicle. Let's see. This is V, right? So in the V, I removed the vehicle, but here to add, I should add the robot, so which is the second. Yeah, so it could be confusing. Just make sure you point to the correct one. And then when you flip-flop, so when you map the robot, then you remove the vehicle. So I'm sure this part is removing the vehicle, this part is adding the robot, right? So we can actually do another test. Just make sure we didn't mess up anything. Okay, so here if I can see the keys, and then I can see the V to switch to the vehicle. Yes, and then V again. So we got a robot. Okay, so everything is correct. Great. So I hope this is helpful, and yeah, try it.